not high stakes, right? Because their biggest issue is, hey, I want to wear this pretty dress, but I already wore it and it's dirty and it got stains. But in the future, they're going to have relationship problems. They're going to have lifestyle problems. They're going to be trying to decide where school they want to go to. They're going to be deciding on their friends, and you want them to be coming to you during those times. And the only way that you're going to make that happen is if you give them that time, that energy, that space, that kindness, that opportunity to make mistakes now.
Welcome back to Mompreneur Unmuted, where we breaking molds and building legacies. This is the space where we talk about motherhood, purpose, growth, and all of the ways life stretches us into becoming who we were meant to be. And today's episode is a little extra special because the woman sitting on the couch with me today is my actual sister. Not a friend I call a sister, but my blood sister. Now, the funny thing about me and Sarita is that we are only a few months apart.
Yeah.
So my birthday is September and hers in March.
Yes.
The same exact year. Mm-hmm. Which means, growing up, people were a little confused about how that worked. But we didn't actually grow up in the same house full time. I live with my mama on the west side of Detroit, and Sarita lives with our dad, our sister, and my stepmom on the east side of Detroit, where I visited often. But now, Sarita is a mom of two, my nephew Ishay and my niece Ruva, and she's built a life that looks very different from the one we grew up in here in Detroit. She now lives in suburban Illinois, travels often with my brother Tino and the kids across states and internationally. And she's also a landlord because I convinced her to buy a house from the Detroit Land Bank for $1,000.
And did.
Now, she was mad at me then. But now it's bringing in a little extra income while she's living in Illinois, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And she raising her kids in a home where they're learning multiple languages.
Yes.
Their dad's language, the nanny's language. Yes, nanny. And just growing up exposed to a much bigger world. Mm-hmm. But before we get deeper into all of that, I started sharing a fun fact about every guest.
Oh my God. I know I should put my glasses on.
The beginning of the episode. And Sarita, I don't think we ever gonna forget this one.
Oh Lord.
All right. Okay.
I might have already forgot, but hit me with it.
All right. So we both went to Cass Tech High School, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one year we had the same math class together, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, the funny part is we didn't even sit near each other. We actually barely talked in school, right?
Which was ridiculous.
Which is crazy. Yes. Not because we weren't close. We really were. Mm-hmm. And not only because the school was humongous, but we just had completely different friend groups. Mm-hmm. So anyway, one day, one of the other math teachers walked in our class. You remember? Now listen.
I remember exactly. Immediately you said that.
Now we ain't gonna name no names.
Name them.
No. We're not naming his names because he in some stuff right now.
Oh,
we gonna talk about that later.
Okay.
Not on this podcast. Okay. But I'm not even sure how we got on that subject, but I do remember us going back and forth with him, telling him that we were indeed sisters.
Real sisters.
We had to convince this man, and when he finally believed we were sisters, he looked at us and said, "Oh, Papa was a Rolling Stone." Now listen, I know I ain't never forgot that.
Girl, I tell that story early and often as soon as I meet somebody.
That man was crazy. Okay.
I bet you anybody who went to Cass Tech, throw the name in the chat if you think you know who it is.
All right.
Don't throw it in the chat, but text me if you got my number.
Okay, but today we're talking about motherhood, building a life away from where you started, raising kids across cultures, and what it looks like to expand the world that your children grew up in. All right. So, Sarita Vita, before we get into everything, tell the people about yourself the way you would. Tell everybody who you are in this season, what life looks like for you right now, and what keeps you busy these days.
I mean, I like to consider myself just a person who is pretty run-of-the-mill, very excited. I think the most important thing to me at this moment is my love of God and obviously my husband and my children. If someone asks me who I am outside of being a mom and a wife to these amazing people, I'm just a person who just love life. Someone who beats to her own drum, do exactly what I want to do, am exactly who I want to be in whatever moment that looks like. And that's how I've always been. And even as my life has changed a bunch, that is still who I am. So everyone, who's ever met me, they either love me or they hate me. There's very few in between. And that's who I've always been. That's how I'm going to continue to rock.
Period. All right. And that's exactly why I wanted you on the couch with me today. Because people see these travel pictures and these family photos, but they don't always see the work behind building that kind of life, right? Mm-hmm. But before we get too deep, you already know we got to start a little petty.
Okay. Petty's bumming today, but okay.
Every guest who sit on the couch got to participate in a segment called Let's Get Petty.
Okay.
This is where I ask you 3 completely random questions. Mm-hmm. Nothing deep, just vibes. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Mm-hmm. All right. First of all, I want to say the first time we met, y'all, we were about 7 years old. Uh-huh. And I remember we all kind of acted like we ain't want to like each other. Mm-hmm. You know how kids do. Like, we were sizing each other up, but literally within like 5 minutes, we were all inseparable, right?
Yeah.
And we've been really close ever since. Mm-hmm. But I want to know, do you remember what kind of thoughts was in your brain that day? Do you remember?
I kind of do, kind of don't. I distinctly remember being like, I know what a sister is, and I know who my sister is, and this ain't it. I think that might have been the first major thing that really shook my worldview a little bit. Mm-hmm. Not in true child fashion, it reshifted very quickly, but in that moment, I'm like, sister? No, Carla is my sister. This is a random.
Yeah.
And I might have said that to you at one point.
Probably.
You know my mom.
Listen, Sarita ain't never held back, y'all. Okay.
But, I think it kind of shook me a little, not shook me made me nervous or anything. It shook me one thing about me, one thing for sure, 2 things for certain is I know what I know, mm-hmm. and I will tell you what I know. Mm-hmm. And so when someone tells me something that is different from what I know, it takes a lot of convincing in order for me to change my mind, and that probably was no different. That is not that doesn't line up with what I understand my sister to be.
Right.
And so it probably took a lot of convincing and cajoling and information to change my mind.
Yeah, that's fact. Okay, now question 2. What's something you were like, my kids will never, or when I have kids, I will never, and now you do it all the time?
I'm proud to say that I was never one of those super weirdos about that stuff.
Okay.
So I'm on my high horse about a lot of things. I wasn't on my high horse about parenting because I knew that I'm just a baby. What am I doing with kids, honestly? But I will say I give my kids a little bit more sugar than I ever thought that I would. Mm-hmm. I was like, my kid's gonna eat healthy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even gonna introduce them to no snacks because I know once you introduce them to sweets, it's all over but the shouting. And I love a good ice cream. I was like, baby, and 13 months, I'm like, it was ice cream.
I mean, it was.
And of course, I was right. It was all over but the shouting. So the sugar thing is probably one of the few.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay. All right. Question 3. Mm-hmm. But before that, another fun fact, y'all. Me and Sarita were roommates in downtown Detroit for 2 or 3 years after college.
Yes.
It was the best apartment, hands down.
Oh my gosh, we had that thing big.
Listen, it was 1,200 square feet, and it was a California split, where the common spaces split the 2 rooms. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. It was fire, and I for sure miss it. But the question is, what was one thing you couldn't stand about us living together? Now's the time to get it off your chest.
I thought Alicia was a pretty good roommate. I didn't have too many qualms.
That's nice.
I didn't have no problems. I'm gonna be honest. You know I'm honest. I can't think of nothing.
Yeah.
The rent was on time.
Okay.
We didn't have any, disagreement about what we want the apartment to look like. Oh, I remember when we first moved in.
Okay.
Alicia butt, the younger sister, by the way. Did we talk about that shit, baby?
Okay.
Her butt took the big room with the big bathroom attached. And it was like either fight about it or give it to her. And I was just like, normally I'm willing to fight about some stuff. In that moment, I didn't want to start our relationship with this new space off bad. So I just let it go. And if y'all know me, again, I don't let a lot of stuff go, but I did let that go.
But it was a reason why you wanted the other room.
No, it wasn't. You just took the best room. My bathroom was technically bigger because it was the guest bathroom. It was a bigger bathroom. It was the guest bathroom.
But it connected to your room too.
It connected to my room, but it was the bathroom that everybody who visited would use. Which of course means I need to keep it clean. Your turn. I actually want to know.
I ain't have none. I mean, we honestly, and now y'all, Sarita is not the cleanest person in the whole wide world. But
junky, not dirty.
Right. Two different things for sure. But I thought that was going to be an issue, but it honestly never was. Like, it was spotless. First of all, I think a lot of the reason is because both of us work so dang much.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I mean, we work so much. Mm-hmm. But I ain't had no issues either, quite honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very, I am messy with my own spaces. Yeah. When people, growing up, living in a Black household, I think that we don't respect each other's spaces. And so when people oh, you so junky, you so messy, what they mean is your room is junky, your room is messy. But I'm like, but if you just close my door, the kitchen is clean, the living room and dining room is clean.
Your room was clean.
Yeah, for the most part. I'm not, I just don't have, if y'all know my parents, well, not my parents, my daddy.
The daddy.
And Alicia and my other sister, Carla, who you guys will meet, I'm sure. They are very neat. Mm-hmm. So when they call me junky, just know that I'm average and they are very neat.
We need freaks. That's true. They're
very neat. Okay. And so when they say oh, you're junky, you're messy, oh no, I'm average and you guys are weirdos.
Yeah. All right, cool, bro. Cool story, bro.
I mean, you right.
All right, now we got the petty out the way. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about life. Time to get to the real stuff. You ready? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, I want to start here.
Okay.
Because your life looks very different from how we grew up. What made you decide, one, to leave Detroit? What was the real reason behind that leave?
Oh, there's one reason and one reason only.
What is it?
I was following that man. That's it. Anybody?
I love that. Okay.
Anybody who know me know I love Detroit down.
Yeah.
You'll get to it. We'll talk about it a little bit more. I've been literally all around the world, and Detroit is still home. Mm-hmm. It's still one of the best places that I've ever been. Yeah. I love Detroit. Yeah. And so much so that when I bought my house, when I bought the original house, that my intention was to stay there. Tino is my husband. He got a job in Detroit, mm-hmm. and he moved out there, and I got a job in Illinois. I mean, he got a job in Illinois, I'm sorry. And he couldn't find work in Michigan, and he tried. I'm not following a man who didn't give me the effort that I gave him. Mm-hmm. So he looked very hard.
That's a bar.
He looked very hard for a job in Michigan that was supporting the salary that he deserved for the degree that he had. And he couldn't find one. Mm-hmm. And he found one almost immediately in Illinois. They begged him to come. Mm-hmm. I think they even gave him a relocation package. So it was, you go where the money is.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so he got a job there, and I got a job there to be with him.
Okay. So at that time, you moved with your then boyfriend, mm-hmm. now husband.
Yes.
And his career was taking him to Chicago, but there was more opportunities there, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. So
to be clear, we don't live in Chicago. We live in the outskirts.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you the exact city because it's a small city. I don't want y'all trying to track me down.
Okay,
I am that fine. No, I'm just kidding. But we live in the outskirts of Illinois, not the actual city itself.
Okay. So leaving home, trusting that move, and stepping into something that wasn't really fully defined yet.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for you?
So defined is not. This is a loaded question.
It is.
Okay, so the first thing is, anybody who know me, Tino was my friend for years, my best friend for years before we actually got together. I know y'all gonna have questions about that. We'll answer them if you want to. So he was my friend for years.
Part 2 of this.
And so because he was my best friend, there was no like fear that our relationship wouldn't work. I always had my own money. So what I wasn't going to do was move there to be with him, and I didn't have a job. So he actually moved down there first. And he had a job and he was established first. And then once I found a job, that's when I went. So it was never like, oh, you're insecure. Not that I ever really doubted that he would make sure that I was okay anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was financially okay. You know, one of the things that's really important to me is my finances. It was important before I got married, and it's important now, and it's going to be important after. And so my finances were together. I had plan A, plan B. I had plan C. I had savings. And so when I went to Illinois, it wasn't you go in there, you know, trusting this man with your whole entire life. I was very safe, whether he was going to make me safe or not. And of course he did.
Okay,
like,
period. Choosing he's a good man, Savannah.
A good man. The best man, Savannah. I know, I'm sorry.
I know about all that. You know, you straight. But Ralph, no, I'm just playing. Listen, we really picked some good men.
The best, honestly.
All right, so a lot of parents rely heavily on family support, right? And when raising their kids, especially. But you built your life in a whole nother state. How did that change the way you approached momming?
So really, there's one of two things. You either have the community, so you live in your community, or you pay for your community.
That's facts.
I had to pay for my community.
Yeah.
So one, I am blessed that my brother-in-laws are very close. So they are around and they help a lot. But that's basically it. That's all I have. And so there's things that I would do differently if I was around my mom or around my sister. There's different choices that I would make. But now I have to pay for my community, right? I have to pay for childcare.
Right.
So I do have a nanny, and I know that sounds extremely bougie, but childcare in Illinois is exorbitant. So it's actually the cheaper option if you have 2 kids, which I do. And so I had to pay for my community. I had to, you know, pay for my nanny. I had to pay for people to come and help around the house. I did build a church home. So I do have a church out there, and that was kind of one of the most important things. I did find somewhere to, you know, go to church, you know, worship. But even that is it's not the same. Like, there is no break. There's no, like, you have your nanny during working hours, and then after that, like, it's just me and Tino. We are it for the kids. And that can be exhausting in a lot of ways. There's no, hey, go be with your grandma, go be with blah, blah, blah. It's just us. And I would not have changed it because our life is so wonderful. Yeah. But I do feel sad sometimes that I don't have it. And, you know, I always picture myself not having kids really at all and being like the rich auntie.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
But if I was going to have kids, then I couldn't imagine not having my sister to help me raise them or my mom to help me raise them.
I know. I'd be missing my babies.
I know. And every time I see my nephew and my nieces, they're just like different people, and that hurts too.
Okay. Girl, you about to make me cry already. It's too soon. Too soon. All right.
I do feel like we need to do a better job of just connecting with each other. Like,
we busy. We'll do that when they get a little bit older.
And that part, but then also like we can do trips together, and we can like visit each other more, and we can be more thoughtful about like how to bring our kids together, because they know their cousins, but I'll be like, that's Alicia. That, it don't help that your face change every picture, but you know, I think we can be more thoughtful around it. There's always opportunity to be more thoughtful.
I agree. All right. So you're also married to somebody from another country.
Yes.
Which means your kids are growing up exposed to multiple cultures, right? How intentional are you about making sure they understand both sides of the heritage?
You have to be.
Yeah.
You have to be extremely intentional about it. So my husband is from Zimbabwe, if anybody is wondering. Do I have to be that clear? In Africa, if anybody don't know, I guess.
You never know.
He's from Zimbabwe. And I am very thoughtful about making sure that my kids know Zimbabwe. So we've been to we've been to Zimbabwe 3 times. My kids have been twice. I've been to Zimbabwe 3 times and my kids have been twice. And we teach them language. They speak Shona, which is one of the Zimbabwean languages, a plethora of Zimbabwean languages, but the biggest one to my understanding, and please Zimbabweans don't attack me if I'm wrong about this, but there are multiple, but Shona is the biggest one. And so that's the one that he speaks. So we are teaching them Shona. And you know, they speak quite a bit of the words. We try to do a lot about keeping them around their family. Like I said, their uncles are there. And then when we explain things to them, we explain, you know, the cultural significance around certain things, which can be a lot for a 2- and 3-year-old. But we do try to say, like, oh, like in Zimbabwe, we would do this. And then, of course, we introduce them to the food. So they're no strangers to Zimbabwean food. So they understand the language. They eat the food. And we're giving them the culture as much as you can when they're different, when they're separate from the culture.
Yeah.
So I think that if anybody wants to get into an interracial relationship, you have to remember that, like, even me doing my absolute best, they are still going to have some feelings around Zimbabwe as if it's a little bit foreign to them, because I can't give them that without them being here 50% of the time and there 50% of the time. Though we have been having conversations about possibly, you know, them spending the summers in Zimbabwe with their family when they're a little bit older and things like that, just so that they can understand their culture a lot better. Yeah, because it's as much a part of them as being from Detroit, being from the United States is. So, you know, being Black American is a huge identity and it's a big one and people understand it, but being Zimbabwean is as much a part of them as being from the U.S. And so we make sure that they understand that. And I show them stuff from Zimbabwe, like, oh, this is Zimbabwean hero. So when I'm talking Black history to them, I'm not just talking about Black American history. I'm talking about African history and a lot of times specifically Zimbabwean history.
Gotcha. That's good. Are they technically from Illinois or are they from Michigan?
My children are technically from Illinois. They were born in Illinois.
Oh, wow.
I know. Feels weird.
It is weird. But okay. Okay, so even thinking about culture, you and Tino grew up with the same expectations when it comes to family and raising kids. Or did you not grow up with the same expectations?
It's so funny. Like, I feel like Zimbabwe and Detroit are so freaking similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, it's real similar. And one thing that we didn't do, but thank God, praise be to God, like, it worked out. I don't think we really discussed what, like, raising our children would look like, what we would, like, some of the things that we would do and not do, you know, some of the things that we departed. Like, we never really discussed it. Everything kind of fell naturally.
That's because y'all was best friends first.
Yeah, we worked out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
wait, tell the people how long were y'all best friends first?
I met Tino my very first year of college. So 2009. We've been friends since 2009.
And then
we started dating in 2013.
Okay. And be honest, do you feel like Tino fully understood how much work kids actually are before having them? Or was there like a little bit of a reality check once y'all was in it?
If he didn't understand, could have fooled me. I think he stepped into fatherhood, and this is not supposed to be a Tino glazing session, but I
love Tino.
He is great,
by the way.
But I didn't know I had such positive feelings. So no, he stepped into fatherhood with so much grace that I don't. Shockingly, he didn't have like a lot of children in his life. Like, he didn't have like a lot of small kids. So I don't know that he truly knew what to expect. But if anybody ever met him, he's such a chill, relaxed person. that not a lot can shake him. And that was true for children too. He's not easily shaken by what is going on. So if he was not prepared, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, that's good. I love that.
For the most part.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so you and Tino both work remotely.
Not all the time. I'm hybrid.
You hybrid now. Mm-hmm. Right. That changed.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a nanny help and support.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's a very intentional way of building a support system. Mm-hmm. We kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
How did you create that structure? And how did you even find her? Because there's a lot of people I know that be looking for nannies and they need help too. So how did you find her?
Yeah. So the first thing is, God rest her soul, when we first had Uva, that's my daughter, she's the oldest, Tino's mom actually came from Zimbabwe and literally lived in the house with us and helped take care of
so much.
her granddaughter, her first granddaughter. And she was, just so happy. I'm gonna cry a little. This might be the thing that taking you off my square, because I was blessed to have the most amazing in-laws on the face of the earth. Mm-hmm. So she came from Zimbabwe, flew in and literally stepped in, and it was just like...
And how long was she there?
She was there for 4 months.
Girl, that is amazing.
Yeah, 4 months and some change.
Yeah.
And just her stepping in was just so amazing. So I actually didn't have to have a nanny at first.
Yeah.
And then when it was time, I first thought that I could maybe handle it, right? Like, people work from home. People think working from home is just this, like, oh, I'm gonna have all of this free time and do all of the things that I want to do and do my job. And if anybody works from home, they know you might be blessed to get a job like that. But for the most part, they clock you, they track you, and they expect to have access. And by they, I mean the job. They expect you to have access to you in ways that a person would not give access when they're in the office.
Yeah.
And so what I thought would be me being able to take care of the kids, between all the people living in my house, like, we should be able to figure out how to take care of one toddler. And that quickly became, you got a meeting? I got a meeting. You got to take it right now, and it just wasn't feasible for us to do a good job at our very, very, very good jobs. Not to my own horn, but I am very blessed to have a really good role. And because of that, it just didn't make sense for us to be trying to take care of our kid and try to, have our jobs. So it just didn't make... We had to have somebody to help. And so then the question became, do you send them to a daycare or do you hire a nanny? And those are like essentially the only two options. You can send them to the daycare if you want to do a cheap daycare, right? One that is like relatively affordable. You're basically sending them to a house daycare, which I was not doing. Yeah. I was not doing that. And, full disclosure, my mom growing up, she did have a house daycare and she was amazing. Yeah. But that's such a gamble. Yeah. It's such a gamble.
It's hit or miss for sure.
Yeah. And so I wasn't going to do a house daycare. Mm-hmm. And so that only left us like a really expensive daycare or a nanny. And the really expensive daycares were very expensive. And it was just like, okay, I can spend all of this money to have a daycare, or I can pay the same amount. And this is when I had one kid. I can pay the same amount and get one-on-one care for my kid. I wanted my children to learn Spanish. And so I could find a Spanish speaking nanny who could teach them Spanish. And so it became, do I give my child one-on-one care with someone who really cares and like be there for my child? And then I can also hear what's going on with my child because the nanny is in the house with us. Or do I send them to a child care facility? And I felt like before my children can talk, it's best that they were in my space. And that's why we chose it. And it's actually in Illinois, at least. And I don't know about Michigan, to be fair. But I think it's probably similar to Michigan too. Mm-hmm. It's just cheaper to have a nanny with 2 kids.
Yeah. And you found her online?
Yeah. So I scoured the internet like a weirdo. So there's a couple like different places. Like they have a couple different applications that can help you. So there's one called care.com and we were on there. And they do background checks and things like that. And then there's another one called Nanny Lane, which is where we actually found our nanny. And I'm giving them free promo, so block this out if you need to.
Listen,
but
I'm about to say, hey, y'all need to pay me.
Yeah, but then another really amazing place is actually on Facebook. There are like groups where people come in and they say like, hey, I'm a nanny looking for work, or I'm a person looking for a nanny. So it's like a Facebook group that literally is catered toward finding work and finding a nanny. And so we're also on there, and I was interviewing people, bringing them to the house, and each time I paid them because I'm very big on like, hey, pay people for their time. So every time they came, they visited, I paid them for their time, let them see with the kids. And as much as I paid attention to their credentials, I also paid a lot of attention to how my kids felt around them. There's a lot of people who they looked great on paper, but like my daughter was like screaming in her arms, and I'm like, I don't know, this is maybe the baby is hungry.
We're not doing this every day.
I mean, more so like I think and maybe I'm getting a little woo woo here, but I think children can sense energy.
Yeah, that's facts. I agree. I think so too. Okay, so another thing is you've always been really, really good at financing. Mm-hmm. We are going to do a quick shift.
Okay.
Obviously. So you always been really good at finances. I think we both kind of have. Mm-hmm. We've been really intentional about like saving, planning, and just building stability all the way around, right? Mm-hmm. How has that mindset shaped the way you're raising your kids even while they're young? Like teaching them money basics, estate planning, or whatever else that look like for you?
Yeah. So the first thing is I am financially stable for me. And so I'm making sure that my children are financially stable. That's things like, college savings, 529s, UGMA accounts. We have the plethora of them, and our kids probably have more in savings than a lot of people have just in general, like adults.
Yeah.
And so my kids financially will be okay once they get older. Mm-hmm. The other thing is I've already, my daughter is only 3, so we have a lot of time, but I have already started talking to my daughter about money. Like, hey, you have $5 when we go to this store. Let's talk about what you can get and what you can't get. Obviously we're very adamant, she's very advanced for her age when it comes to numbers and things like that. So she understands math on a rudimentary level, but she knows addition and subtraction to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. And so when she's like, oh, I want this, I'm like, well, that's $20. You have $5. Mm-hmm. And so they understand that, which also helps a lot with, learning with the children, learning how to accept rejection, which they do need to learn. Mm-hmm. So we're teaching those things like that. We have books that is surrounding finance that we read to our kids, and it just teaches them things like the rudimentary stuff at what's a bank account, what is all of these things, all the financial stuff. Mm-hmm. So we teach those things, and then we also, in addition to planning for their future, we just make sure that they are thoughtful about having things in their lives. Not too many things, just because you can afford something, that doesn't mean that you should give your child that. Mm-hmm. And because I've always been very frugal, we try to impart that on our kids as much as possible. Now, there are people who will tell you, I spoil my kids a little bit. I also think that my kids will never know struggle, and that's a blessing. So I think there's a really, really huge difference between they don't know struggle versus they don't understand boundaries. Mm. And you don't have to deprive your children from things so that they understand boundaries. Mm-hmm. And so that is what I'm teaching my kids.
Love that. Love it, love it, love it. And now we did have a conversation recently about estate planning. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about that a little bit as far as your kids are concerned?
Yeah. I think that estate planning is incredibly important. So I have, our will and all of those things, what's going to happen to our houses. Yes, house is yes. What's going to happen to our houses, what's going to happen to our property, what's going to happen to our money, all the money that we have saved and invested, and what's going to happen to our life insurance. And so all of those things is ironed out in our estate plan. Mm-hmm. And then the houses are under our estate plan too. And so our children are well taken care of from that perspective. Mm-hmm. Also in our estate plan, it's who's going to take care of my children from a finance perspective versus who's going to actually care for my children. And then also ironed in that estate plan is what that looks like for us. Because it's easy to say Alicia's going to take my child, and versus hey, Alicia's going to take my child, but this is what I would need for my child. I need my child to go to this school, and here's the money for that. I need my child to do these things, and here's the money for that. So what I'm saying, whenever God forbid if I have to leave my children behind, what I want for them is ironed out, and then the finances to make that happen is also there.
Yeah. I mean, in addition to that, you got to think about, like, I think we kind of talked about this a bit too. These people are going to take my kids, but these people ain't very responsible with the funds. I know for a fact. So they're going to take care of the kids. However, these people are going to take care of the money for the kids, you know, like those kind of things. I like that.
And that also, like, in addition to that, when you're leaving your, like, not just leaving your children behind, but you're leaving your loved ones behind, I think it's a kindness to them that you get your estate in order. Like, I don't want my sisters grieving for me, trying to figure out how all of a sudden raise 2 more children, and also having to figure out all of the stuff that I would have to figure out. Like, make the people you leave behind life a little bit easier so that they don't have to do those things.
Because it's already going to be hard.
And in addition to that, because my husband is Zimbabwean, he has a very, very specific and traditional way of needing to be buried, and that needs to be taken care of too.
Oh, good to know. Okay, good to know. Okay. Now, let's also talk about you for a second. Okay. You were never really like the super nurturing auntie. We talked about that a little bit. You was going to be the rich auntie.
Period.
Like, I'm pretty sure at one point you told us you ain't even want kids.
I didn't want kids. I didn't want marriage. I was very serious about that.
Facts.
Honestly, if Sarita 10 years ago, she would probably be trying to fight me, honestly.
Crazy word.
Crazy.
Okay, so the question is, what changed? And what was the moment where you was like, you went from, that's not really my thing, to fully stepping into momming and marriage?
It's going to turn into a Tina glazing session again, huh?
We love Tina.
I did not change. When it comes to, like, I honestly believe that 70% of women specifically should not be married. And men haters Sarita coming out a little bit. I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Leave these raggedy men alone. They are not helping you. You are worse because you are with this raggedy man. If you have kids with a raggedy man, your life is worse with the kids and the raggedy man. He's not helping you. Okay.
Y'all asked for this. I told you I was really raw, child.
So, I honestly believe that most women do not benefit from the marriage in a traditional sense, especially in, you know, the year of our God, 2026, right? Like, life is too hard. We're doing too much. We're giving too much of ourselves. And I was never going to be that person. I was never going to be that person who was fighting for their life, trying to figure out how to keep some man in my house. I was never going to be the person who was fighting for my life, trying to bring up some kids by myself. I was never going to be that person. And I would have died before I let anybody make me that person. But God. But God.
Okay.
Specifically, but God. He said, girl, I can show you better not to when you have a man in your life who is right, your opinions don't change and your thoughts don't change. But what I hated about the marriage set up in America, around the world, to be honest, was not true for our relationship. And that's what it boils down to. For our relationship, he was all of the things that a man needed to be in order for him to be considered my husband, which I thought I had given up.
You thought
honestly, I was like, men don't exist like that, right? Like, they can be friends, but that's as far as they need to go. And then when you see somebody who, and I'll tell you the exact specific moment, I was like, maybe I can marry him. His mom was visiting. They were like carrying a couch up the stairs. And I was just a friend. I was just at this point, I think I was his girlfriend, but I wasn't really, I was still kind of like, I'm not ever getting married. And his mom, he was, you know, choosing the couch, and he spent hours. Oh God, this man cannot make a fast decision to save his life. Spending hours trying to find a couch, and he finally finds the couch. Him and his mama bring this couch in. We all trying to finagle how to get this big, huge, larger than life couch into this apartment. And then they go in, they get the apartment, and I'm like decorating or whatever. And then his mom and Tino goes back to the back, and they start singing like a gospel. And like it's in Shona, so it's not. I don't know if it would be considered gospel, but it is like music for the Lord. And it was just like a man of God who loves his mama, who cares about what's going on, who, helps people, who gives of himself more than he has ever taken. Someone who is kind and loving and nurturing and peaceful. Someone that you can talk to and give everything about yourself. Someone who I'm not shy with, right? Like, I'll never forget, like, I was dirty in college, but I had a roommate who just was always in my space, but she was kind of a neat freak, so I knew if I kept my room junky, I know this is a lie. If I kept my room junky, she would stay out of my room. So I did. So I did. And she did stay out of my room. And that was the only place that she didn't go. And then he saw that. Like, he saw all of me. There was no part about me that this man saw, and still, like, the best and the worst, he saw all of it. And that's the beauty of marrying your best friend. And he still was like, yeah, this is my person. Uh-huh. And I was like, hey, I am not ever getting married. And then I later found out that he was at the church praying like, God, please change her mind.
God said, I got you, bro.
I got you, bro. I found out later that this man is praying to God for me to change my mind, and was willing to wait because in his mind there was no other person for him.
Girl.
And that's storybook stuff. Very real. And not to toot my own horn, most of y'all don't have that.
Oh,
Wait for that. If you don't have that, you do not need to be married.
Baby, do we need that on the shirt?
Yes.
We need that on the shirt.
Do not marry a man who is not willing to pray to have you in his life. Okay, I'm going to stop yelling at y'all.
Listen, I talk about that all the time because Ralph will literally stop in the middle of us having a disagreement and pray.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, like, that's a good man. I think we are very similar in that manner. We always been super similar.
Too similar is kind of weird.
but that is one main way we are similar. We always used to talk about how we want to get married or have kids. And then God was like, listen, I got both of y'all. And then really place these good men in our lives.
But I think that's really, everybody should have that mindset, right? Yeah. Like, everybody should be thinking to themselves, I'm here for me.
Yeah.
I am living for me. I'm enjoying my life. I'm putting things in my life that I love, that I care about. I'm growing for myself and my family. And should a man come into my life, if the only thing that would make me change the trajectory of my being is that he's making it go faster, making it go further. If he's not making your life better, he's actively making it worse. Mm-hmm. And that only way you should make space for somebody in a beautiful, wonderful life that you've built for yourself is if they're trying to make their life better, not worse. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. And because we had that mindset, and whether we called it that or not, like we called it, we never getting married, but it was we really
just focusing on ourselves.
We were focusing on ourselves. And when you focus on yourself, you don't have the issue of a man coming to throw you off your square. If you're just doing everything just to have some man in your life, you're willing to fold on things that you would have never been willing to fold on. I never considered myself to be lonely. I was fully willing and able to be on my own.
Yeah.
And loneliness was never the thing that I considered myself to be. I had a very full life. I had amazing sisters, and I don't know if I would consider it an amazing career, but a good paying career at least. I had a career and amazing sisters and amazing parents. I was blessed and highly favored before I ever got married. I just got blessed further.
Amen.
My marriage was the cherry and the icing,
period,
and the sprinkles. But I had the cake.
Period. I love that. Okay. So now we're going to kind of shift a little bit again. So now that you're a mom, I want to know, how did motherhood change you as a person?
I mean, in what way? I don't think that...
Okay. Loaded.
Yeah. Okay. So I got to hit this from a lot of angles. So y'all rock with me for a bit. Physically,
Mm-hmm.
I am completely different. Anybody who ever knew me, I was skinny mini. I had literally an identity crisis when it came to like how much weight I gained and where that weight went. So physically, it changed me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritually, it changed me a lot. I've always been like, our parents never forced God on us. God was there, right? But we had the choice to go to church.
Yeah.
Did you want to go to church or not? Like, we always
not
had
me. That was daddy house, not my mama house.
At my house.
Okay.
My dad and my mom.
Two different parents.
Her dad,
Two different
our dad, and my mom.
Right.
Never really forced religion down our throat. It was like a choice for us. And I always made that choice. But now it's like, no, God has to be here. Like, God has to be here because I have way too much to lose for God not to be ever present in our life.
Yeah.
I also don't go to church as much as I used to. Our church doesn't have like an area where you can, drop the kids off. So my kids are pretty young and they get a little bit antsy. So I want everybody in the church to get the word, and I don't want my children to be the reason why somebody missed their word.
Yeah.
So we don't go to church as much as we should. But that being said, I
mean, you still got two little kids.
Yeah, I got a 2 and a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
But we watch the church online and we pray often, and God is in our life.
Yeah.
And he has to be. Like, to me, I can't imagine living like just kind of on a like, oh yeah, let me go to church and like, no, like this needs to be covered.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's spiritually. So physically, spiritually,
okay.
Emotionally, I am more mature in a lot of ways. Right? You have like when you have somebody else's life to be responsible for. Yeah. You are constantly thinking about all of the things. Like, and I've become a little bit of an extremist almost. What's the word when you thinking about worst case scenario constantly? I was always kind of a little, not a pessimist. It is. Anyway, okay. I'll think of the word later. I'm sure. Oh my God. But like, I think about worst case scenario kind of a lot. Like, okay, what if this happened? What if that happened? Like, it's a little.
I think that comes with momhood.
I think that comes with momhood, right? I was like, I think about it. I was kind of that way before the kids, but like after the kids, I'm just like,
it's on 120.
It's 120. Like, I care about everything. Like, I can't let things go. Yeah. And that's really frustrating. I don't have the level of peace that I used to have. And so this is to everybody who are thinking about children. They're not quite sure. It is the absolute best thing that ever happened to me. In a lot of cases, it's the absolute worst. Like, I'm trying to say,
let's keep it real.
Like, there is, I can't imagine my life without my children. They are literally so much a part of me that when I think about my identity, I think about them as a part of my identity. Yeah. And I would die for these kids, and they bring me so much joy. And to watch somebody with the mixture of the face of the man that you love and yourself and like everybody who you love, your granddad, your mama, they are in this like small package, and it's your responsibility to bring them up. That it's such an honor. And I can't think of a life without them. But also every hard moment that I've had in the last 3 years is related to them.
The exhaustion.
The fear, like, like the exhaustion and the fear, I think, are the two main ones. Yeah, you just like you're tired all the time.
And you're always scared for them.
Always scared that something's gonna go wrong. Like, and not just scared for the present, right? You're not just scared that he's going to stick something in the socket. You're constantly thinking about their present and like
their future.
What's going to go on.
Like, okay, if I say this particular thing, how is it going to affect them when they're 29? Like, what?
Oh my God.
Brain stop.
Like, they're 3, relax.
Okay.
But also you can't relax. You can't relax. And you
can't turn it off. And it's so funny because men are very able to do that. Like,
they are so, I literally was just venting to this.
Women be like, oh, but when they're 70, they're gonna be like this, and men be like, they fine. It's fine.
Girl, I was just venting to my best friend about this. Like, you coming at a transitionary period in my life in a lot of ways, but one of the ways is that we're actually getting a new nanny because my older nanny, she's moving to Florida to retire, and so we have to get a new nanny. And while this new nanny is there trying to get to know the kids, I'm like fretting, I'm listening, I'm like da da da, and this man had his headphones on, clocked out totally, not even thinking about it.
They're fine.
I'm like, it's a stranger in my house with my children.
They're fine.
I mean, I guess in his brain, what's gonna happen to him? But in my brain, what if she eating my kids? I don't know.
I know, for real.
She could be quietly gnawing on my children, and you ain't even think about that. How dare you?
Not quietly gnawing on them.
Like, you ain't even think about it. Like, what if she eats Chase hair right now? You don't know. You don't know.
Please, Sarita.
Exactly. My brain crazy. Exactly. So imagine a crazy brain with mom brain added. It's really a lot. But yeah, I mean, so that's the hardest. And then like also, I consider myself to be an ambivert, which basically means I'm not an introvert, but I'm not an extrovert.
Right.
I can be extremely extroverted, but I'm also very introverted in a lot of ways. And I used to spend a lot of time alone. A lot of time. Like I needed hours to recharge. Reading books, yes. Mostly reading books. But people forget that children are people too.
Yeah.
So when you need to be by yourself, it's not like, hey, you are getting that recharge that you get from being alone if your children are there. You don't get that recharge. But newsflash, the children are always there. So you don't get that until they literally go to that age. They're always there. They always need something. They're always, they always need your attention. But then they also just, like, even if they're quietly leaving you alone, just if you are like me and you just need to separate yourself from them, like, but what's worse is even if they're not in the room, they're in the room.
Yep.
They're like, oh,
if they're in a podcast,
they're on your brain. Like, you know what I'm trying
to say? Even now, yeah, they're not here, and we still talking about it. I'm doing
the podcast, and I'm also like, what's going on with my children? Yeah. Even though they're in the hands of their father, fully capable, of doing everything on their own.
Yeah.
So
that's fact.
Yeah. So like their recharge period, it's gone now. It's gone. It's gone. Like it's. My brain is having to reroute, and in a lot of ways it hasn't yet.
Now we gonna have Graham Cracker. I'm gonna have Graham Cracker on here. I don't know if I told you that.
Yeah.
But Graham Cracker gonna be on here because I want to know, does it stop? But that's gonna be another episode, child. Because she got two very, very grown old men now. So yeah, because I
can't imagine it stopping.
Yeah.
But God, like just a little bit, like it doesn't have to stop. I always want to think about my kids, but can I just get a little bit of break from it? Just like I need to volume down. Can I get 50%? Like turn it down just a bit, and I like maybe you just get used to it.
Yeah. Now, one thing I will say about you is you're very intentional about how you parent. Like, you give your kids a lot of space to feel their emotions, to make choices, to kind of figure out things with your guidance, right? And I think that's a really, really beautiful thing because everybody don't parent like that. Like, no, we didn't grow up like that. And I'm not even gonna lie, watching you do that sometimes be having me like, okay, I gotta get my life together. Because managing little people emotions is one thing, but managing your own at this big age, that's a whole different conversation. And we're actually going to get into that next week. But my question for you is, I know that you are very intentional about your parenting style. So what does that parenting style look like? And how do you help your kids manage those big emotions when your emotions get so overwhelming?
Okay, so I'm gonna deal with the emotion thing first.
Okay,
I'm human, right? So the first things first is I am human, so I'm not always doing this thing perfectly, and I give myself a lot of grace. And giving yourself grace sometimes look like apologizing to your kids because you made a mistake.
Yeah, that part.
And when I am having my emotions, I'm remembering like, hey, I have been here for a lot of years. This is their first time doing this thing. Every problem that you have is your first time experiencing that problem. It is the biggest deal in your life. But you got to remember, as they're experiencing whatever problem that they feel like they're having, that's the first time they're experiencing that problem. And that's the first time they're dealing with that in their life. And I also remember constantly that the conversations that you have right now with your children, the conversations that and the way that you react to certain things is going to form the relationship that you have with them in that moment. But more importantly, it's going to form the relationship that you have with them in the future. And so Right now it's not high stakes, right? Because their biggest issue is, hey, I want to wear this pretty dress, but I already wore it and it's dirty and it got stains. But in the future, they're going to have relationship problems. They're going to have lifestyle problems. They're going to be trying to decide where school they want to go to. They're going to be deciding on their friends. And you want them to be coming to you during those times. And the only way that you're going to make that happen is if you give them that time, that energy, that space, that kindness, that opportunity to make mistakes now. And I remind myself of that constantly. And so for the most part, I get it right. But when I don't get it right, sometimes I snap. And when I do, I apologize immediately because I want them to remember that mama's not perfect, but you always deserve kindness.
Yeah.
And then I also remember, I'm not raising Sarita's kids. I'm raising members of this society. And the way that I handle them is going to be the way that they handle things in the future, because children don't do what you say, they do what you do. And so if I tell them, stay in a child's place, your opinions don't matter, when it comes time for opinions to matter, they're not going to have the muscle in order to know how to state their opinions while also being very kind. And you got to remember that too, right? Like I'm raising world leaders. I'm raising game changers, and I'm not going to raise a game changer if I'm raising somebody so timid that they can't voice their opinions. And so that means, right, that I have to be okay with hearing their opinions. And that is hard, especially in the Black community. Right? Especially growing up with the parents that I had where, sometimes they were okay with hearing my opinions, but a lot of times they were not. And they see that as me allowing my children to be disrespectful or whatever the heck. But I have to hear what my kids are saying, and then I have to teach them, right? This is their first time here. I have to teach them how to say what they just said in a way that is acceptable to talk to mommy. And I don't give my kids carte blanche to do and say whatever they want. They can have their opinions, and their opinions are valid, but they got to learn how to talk to mama too. Because the way that you learn how to form and articulate your words is also going to be how you learn and form to articulate your words when you're with people who are not mommy, and you don't have that safety net to make the mistakes. So you don't help them by letting them do whatever they want. You help them by helping them figure out what it is that they're trying to say. Okay, this is what you meant. Now let's talk about how you could have said that better. And now you can get what you want if I'm willing to give it. And I'm also not afraid to say no. And because they have to learn how to hear no too.
Indeed.
And I mean, that's how I phrase it. So I'm treating my children how I would have wanted to be treated. Quite frankly, I'm raising myself. Let's be clear. my baby girl, I spit her out hot to it.
No, for real.
So I'm raising myself. And so how would little Sarita want to have to raise? Like, you know what I'm saying? What are some of the problems that I'm having in my career right now? How could my parents were amazing, right? Don't get me wrong. I had the best parents, would not trade them for the world. But how could they have done things a little bit differently so I wasn't having the specific problems that I'm having? Because we are a sum of all of the people that came before us. My mom did better than her mom, and it's my responsibility to do better than my mom, and then it's the Ruba's responsibilities and Isha's responsibility to do better than we did. Yeah. And that's how I think about it.
Love that. That's facts though. It always reminds me of that one visual of the dirty cup of water and then the clean cup of water, and it being poured into it until the dirty cup is completely clear. That's literally how we raise it. You getting all these generational things, and then you continue to cleanse the water. And I love,
think about your generation. Like, think about the things that were hard for you. What could someone have said to you 10 years ago to make that less hard? That's what I'm doing. That's it. Like, it's to me, raising children is hard, but being kind is the easiest part of it.
I don't know if being kind is easy. It's intentional.
What do you mean being kind is not easy? Back it up.
I think having a big emotion is easier than being kind. Being angry is very easy to do, but stopping yourself and saying, hey, I love you anyway. I'm not going to yell at you. We're good. It wasn't that big of a deal is way harder than yelling. Big cussing, not at the kids. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about in general. Being kind is very intentional. You have to stop sometimes, take a breath, take a step. You agree?
I agree that it's easier to explode than it is to reevaluate.
Right.
But I think ultimately 90% of parents just want what's best for their children.
Yeah, of course.
That's the easiest part. And so if you know that you want what's best for your children, I think the easy part of that is reminding yourself, this is what's best for my children. I guess that's what I kind of mean.
Yeah, okay.
It's easier to be like, it's easier to not explode now than deal with a child that's going through a whole host of things and ending up on the wrong side of society later. And that's what I mean. Like, it's easier and easy to be kind to a person because you're a naturally kind person.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, you're naturally kind already. Just do what you would have done if you were talking to somebody who wasn't a little bit frustrated. And then also remember, like, and this is one of those weird things, with children, I kind of see them as like almost like a protected class, like race or like, you know, like somebody who's handicapped. Like, these people have a need, and if there was any other group of people, we would see to those needs. If there was a person with a disability, we're making sure that the person with a disability have all of the things that they need, whether it be a mental disability or a physical one. You know, we are doing a lot of work to make sure that class is protected, race is protected. We're making sure that xenophobia is less. So why would we then not also give that same energy to the children who are our future, who are going to literally shape and be what we want our society to be? We owe them that. Like, that's our part, and not just the parents' part. Hear me on this, people. It's not just the part of the parents. All of us are going to be whatever our children are in the future. And just because you weren't the one to pop the kids out, it doesn't mean that you don't have at least some responsibility to them. And even when I knew that I wasn't having children back in the day, and I was wrong about it, but like, even when I was so sure that I wasn't having children, I've always had this thought. It doesn't take anything for you to be kind to those children. It doesn't take anything for you to help out a mother who's clearly stressed and struggling, right? Like, and now, you know, one of the things you asked me a little bit earlier about, like, my community. Now I know that my community immediately is other mothers, right? Yeah. They see me going through it and they're like always willing to help. And thank God for other mothers, but it shouldn't just be other mothers. It should be dads. It should be aunties. It should be cousins. Everybody should be rushing to the aid of children, not because they're yours or because you love them, but because that is what it means to be a part of a community. We've forgotten that a little bit, and I don't think that's right. Like, I don't think that, I mean, children is part of community just like everything else. You know, we've become very selfish as a society, and I didn't mean to get on my soapbox, but being less selfish also means taking care of these kids.
Yeah, that part.
Whether they're yours or not.
That's facts. Okay, but it really is very wild how we evolve overall, right? From what we thought we'd never do to fully stepping into it and making it our own. I love that about us. And I want to touch on something in your journey, but not in a super heavy way, because we talked about it, but just in an honest way. Before having your babies now, you did experience a loss. You were pregnant with twins, right?
No, not twins.
No, it wasn't twins? Okay. So you were pregnant before Isha and Ruba. And I think sometimes people assume there's only one right way to respond to something like that. Right? But your experience looked different. So how did you process that at the time?
You know, there's some moms who are immediately emotionally attached to the child in their belly. Let's be clear. I wanted these kids, right? Like, when I decided, in true Sarita fashion, when I decide something, like, that's it. That's what I'm doing. I've made my decision. Now let's make it happen, right? So I checked my ovulation cycle, and I was making sure that, you know, I don't know how much tea I can get into, but like, I was checking my ovulation cycle, and we planned for that child. And when I finally got pregnant, I was excited just like anybody else would be excited.
Right.
And then, but I wasn't like connecting with the entity in my body. Like, I don't know if the entity is even the right word. I wasn't connected with the person in my body. And I'm not even sure I can fully consider it to be a human yet. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? And like, I was to be fair, I was pretty early on in my pregnancy, and I think that has a lot to do with it too. But when I lost it, I didn't experience like, oh my gosh, I lost the baby. I experienced more disappointment than anything. Like, oh, like, dang, we worked so hard. And it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, that sucks. And it is what it is. You know, there was a little bit of sadness in that I had already like, you know, planned like the way that I was going to tell people and all of that stuff. And so like the energy around that was a little bit wasted because I would never do the same thing twice.
Yeah.
And so like it was frustrating. It was disappointing. But in terms of like debilitating sadness or extreme sadness, I never really felt that. It was kind of like okay, that sucks.
Yeah.
And it could be because I was pretty early. I was still in first trimester. So, it was pretty early in pregnancy.
So do you feel like it's okay that your reaction didn't look like how people might expect it to look?
I think that everybody's going to experience grief and loss differently.
Yeah.
I think everybody think about pregnancy differently.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I know several people who is like, fetus deleted and it's no big deal. Like, abort the kid. I don't care. And then there's some people,
for real.
and then there's some people who are like, at the moment of conception, you have a spirit in your body. That's not me. Right? And I'm neither of those extremes of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And because of that, like, I don't think that anybody will feel a certain way, nor should they, right? Like, and I think the most important part of this whole thing is everyone's going to experience it differently. And if you are a good person, then you allow the people that you love and the people around you to experience it however they are experiencing it. So if they're just kind of like, dang, that sucked, and you're like, oh yeah, that do suck, you want to go get a drink? Or if they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so devastated, I can't even move, then you say like, what do you need from me? Like, exactly. Can I be there? Like, here, let me help you clean up your house. Like, be there in the way that people need you to be there for them, and don't have expectations of people in anything, but especially not this, especially not grief, especially not loss.
Yeah, I agree. So I really do appreciate you sharing that. I know it's quick, but because I think it is important for people to hear that there's no one way to move through something like that. Right? Because my experience was completely different from yours, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
Right? And now, looking at where you are today, you didn't just step into motherhood. You created a whole lifestyle around it. Because you travel a lot with your kids.
I do.
Different states, different countries. And a lot of parents feel like traveling with small kids is just too much.
Oh my gosh.
So what made you decide that traveling would be part of your parenting style?
So for the first thing is, like, when you become a mom, you lose a lot. Like, you are not able to do some of the most important thing. One of the things that I used to have 500, not an exaggeration, 500 houseplants.
Girl, I did not know you had that many houseplants.
I did. And some of them were like little nubbins or whatever. Yeah. But, 500 individual living beings in my house. And I had a thing called a garden, GARDYN. And it was like a hydroponic system in my house where it's like you can grow in vegetables and fruits literally within inside your house. Like, I was in that thing. I might as well have had a degree in botany, right? And then these kids came along and that went right out the window. So you lose a lot. You lose some of the things that you hold really dear. You lose some of the things that become a part of your personality. But traveling before the kids was how I would define myself, right? I have a wanderlust that is undeniable. And I don't think that I would be me without seeing the world in all its glory and all its beauty. And because I think that it's such an important part of my life, I would never deny that to my children. I would never, it's shaped me. It's changed my perspective in so many ways. It's calmed me down in ways that I should be calmed down, and ignited fires in ways that it's supposed to ignite fires, right? So because I've become such a better person because of travel, I would never deny the best parts of myself to my children. Like, if I'm going to if I think it's that important, right? Like, why would I deny my children that? That's how I feel. And so if I'm never going to deny my children what I consider to be the best experience in life, then I got to figure out how to make it work. And that's it. That's the beginning all end all. Like, you think that it's the most important thing, one of the most important things in the world. So why would you deny that to somebody that you love? The most, like, the person in your care. You figure it out.
Love that. So what do you think traveling is teaching your kids that they might not learn otherwise?
Yeah. So my children already are like, they're not trilingual yet, but they're on their way, right? So they know English, they know Spanish, and they know Shona.
Mm-hmm.
They know enough to have a conversation in English and Spanish, and they know a lot of words in Shona. So like when I travel, my kids are right at home, like in like a lot of Spanish speaking countries, which is really cool. Like my children are learning that the world doesn't look the same everywhere. Like the world is different everywhere you go. Mm-hmm. And what you see on a day-to-day basis is not the end all be all. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the most important. It teaches them how to relate to people. Mm-hmm. It teaches them how to be flexible. It teaches them how to change in a situation and become adaptability. It teaches them adaptability is the word that I'm looking for. And it teaches confidence. Right now, my baby girl, she's a little bit shy in a lot of ways, but now when she goes to other places, like she knows that she can play with kids and they don't have to speak the same language. And I think that's incredibly beautiful. Mm-hmm. And, now she's learning how to communicate with people that she would have never been able to communicate with before. They've seen a lot of things. There's a lot of information in the parenting space and the parenting sphere around your kids learning through tactile experiences versus learning through like book knowledge. What better tactile knowledge than literally seeing a completely different place, seeing things that they will literally only see on TV. My children have been on safaris within the stone's throw of lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, right? So it's just like my children, you can tell them what a lion looks like, but my baby girl and my baby boy have seen lions in real life and not through a cage at a zoo. Right. And they get to see them in their own habitat. My children have heard a plethora of different languages. And now my daughter is now able to identify when people's languages are different. But it also teaches them how to communicate with people and understand facial expressions and differences from culture to culture, which is really important. And because my kids are bicultural, it also allows them to step within their own cultures differently, right? Like they know how to be around Black people. They're not afraid to be like in the harder parts of certain cities. And then it teaches them like, hey, we are not different or better than anybody else. Mm-hmm. It's inherent kindness in having seen the world and having seen people just live their daily lives and just not worry about what it is they're going through because they know that they're the same. They're the same, right? Like, the kids in Japan are going to be are experiencing a lot of the same things that the children in the United States are experiencing. And the United States is not better or worse. It's just different. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing to me.
I love that. So you really mastered traveling with kids and building a life around it. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I don't even want to ask you if you're about to create a platform around it, because I feel like I know you are. But what I do want to ask is, what would it look like for you to actually step into something like that and share it with other parents? Because a lot of parents need that. I don't know how many times moms have reached out to me to ask me about what kind of toddler toys should I buy when I go traveling with my kids. Mm-hmm. So, like, what would that look like for you to step into something like that?
The major reason why I haven't, one, I got a full-time job.
Period.
And, content creation, it's not an easy thing. That's also a full-time job. Indeed. And then when you're raising children, which is also a full-time job, 3 jobs is a lot of jobs. So that's probably the major reason why I haven't done it already. I do think that people deserve to see the world and experience the world through the eyes of someone who's doing it. Mm-hmm. But I also, the thing that I'm always going to do is put my children first. So I don't want cameras in their faces the whole entire time we're out and doing cool things and seeing cool things. Mm-hmm. Like, I want their experiences to still be organic. Yeah. And that takes away some of the feeling of being in the moment when mom was like, okay, do that again. Mm-hmm. Like, trying to say, or like, oh, did you see that, baby? Yeah. Like, I also don't really believe in having my children online. So that's the whole thing too. So it would take me having to figure out how to separate that for them and make sure that they still experience travel in the way that I was able to experience travel before kids, which is organically and just touching it and feeling it and being there and trying the food and seeing the smells and meeting the people. They deserve that without a camera in their face.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, the equipment, the time, all of that stuff. So it would look like making space for it.
Yeah.
And I haven't had the time to make space for it yet. Maybe when they're a bit older. And then I am documenting a lot of things, writing stuff down, figuring things out. So like, even if my kids are not in the throes of it, sometimes there is a lot of value in getting information from people who have done it.
Yeah.
So
that's facts. Okay, so before we wrap up, I always give my guests a moment to share what they're building. So tell the people where they can find you, how they can connect with you, and maybe where they can follow with you along. Or I can just put it in the show notes later. It's up to you.
So subject to change, but on most platforms, I am Lady Among Dreams, LadyAmong Dreams. So with no numbers, no letters, Lady Among Dreams is where you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and all other ones too. If I have it, it's Lady Among Dreams. And then I'm not to be fully transparent. I'm not super into social medias, but you can find me on LinkedIn. I am active on LinkedIn.
Indeed.
And Sarita Sora.
Make sure y'all go follow and support. All right, Sarita Beta. Before we close, I asked everybody who sit on this couch the same exact question.
Okay.
Because this podcast is really about legacy. It's about the quiet work we're doing every single day that might not look big, but it's making a difference for our kids. So here it is. What legacy are you building right now if nobody else sees it?
I'm building a legacy of change makers and protectors. I want my children and I want everybody who interacted with me and everyone who interacted with Rula and Ishe to know and understand that somebody who was in this space who cared about other people, but also made sure that they knew exactly who they were. And that looks like, in my opinion, changing things for the better. No matter whether it's big or small, I have a motto. And my motto is, you can't change the world, but if you try, you've changed enough. And as long as my kids believe that, and as long as they go in anything that they do, guns blazing, full throttle, just like their mom always has, then that's my legacy.
I love that. Drops mic. I need a physical mic for the exact moment. Because that's really legacy work when you think about it. Okay. So, Sarita, I'm not about to thank you for sitting on my couch.
Period. Girl, thank you for the break, to be honest.
But I will.
2 hours with all my kids is rare these days.
Okay, that part. But I will say this. Thank you for being a part of this, for being a piece of the legacy we building. Not just here, but in real life. Not just as my guest, but my sister. Because we actually friends, and surprisingly, that ain't always the case.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. But seriously, watching the life that you've built has really been super inspiring.
Thank you.
And I'm super proud of you, girl.
Thank you. I'm very proud of you too.
Thank you. You took the foundation we grew up here in Detroit, and you expanded it into something so much bigger for your babies.
Thank you.
I thank you right now for them, if they don't say it enough later. And if you listening today and you building a life away from where you started, just know that your children are learning from you every step you take. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Mompreneur Unmuted, where we break molds and build legacies. From my living room couch in Detroit, until next time, go build something that outlives you.